When you read a book, do you ever wonder what a writer's life is really like? I mean, are their characters as crazy as their plots? Do they just live in their minds? Do they have emergencies or crazy situations happen to them? And if so, have they learned anything from the process of writing to apply to real life? I'm Elizabeth Van Tassel. I'm a fantasy writer, I'm a blogger, and I'm also a resilience expert. So you put the three together, and I'm going to hunt down some amazing authors for us to meet today and ask them, what is resilience?
Gone through something, they have to grow, they have to stretch. There has to be change in the characters, and the way to get them to change is the same way God gets us to change, and that is by putting us in hot water.
Definitely, and sometimes he doesn't wait to turn up the heat much, does he?
Not to dwell in the negative, to look forward instead of behind them. And I think that's what you have to do with a wildfire. You have to let go, or the divorce, anything that
Death, anything.
Death, yes. You have to move forward.
Resilience to me is survival. As a writer, as a person who faces the challenges of life, the unpredictability of life, we have to be resilient, which to me means we have to be informed. We have to know what's going on around us. We can't say, no, I'm not going to look at that, or no, I don't want to know about what is going on. We can't do that. If we're going to bounce back, if we're going to learn, if we're going to grow, if we're going to change, then we have to be informed. They just work together. To be resilient, you have to be informed.
I think it's flexible. I think of grass in the wind that bends when a gale comes through, instead of breaking and ending up as collateral damage on the ground.
Oh, I like that. I don't want to be collateral damage.
I don't either.
Has there been a time when I hate to say that, you felt like collateral damage, or you've
Absolutely.
known someone that's been through that?
Absolutely. There have been times when I haven't bent. I have stood and tried to be strong, and instead of just letting things happen. So there have been times.
So, and maybe you got knocked over?
Yes, definitely. I know when our son was in the military, I think about his deployments. Those were tough times, and I had to learn to get on my knees and learn how to pray all over again, and let that make me stronger instead of defeat me.
When I think of resilience, I think of someone who overcomes the obstacles that are thrown into their path. So someone who life is intervening, they may not be on the path that they thought they would be on, things aren't necessarily going the way they imagine them, but they're still moving forward. They're not becoming trapped in the circumstances, but overcoming them.
That's so important, because you don't want to stay in that victim mindset.
Absolutely.
The word resilience, what pops into your mind?
Steadfastness, I guess, perseverance, being able to work through something and get to the other side.
Mm-hmm. And that is so important, not giving up.
Yes, exactly.
Not giving up when all hope is lost, you know?
Is like, give up. Purpose. So it's not just about right now. It's about his big plan. And so we might only see this part, but he sees him full. And also, it's okay to be broken. We're broken people, right? Yeah. So we're going to act like broken people sometimes. And that's why we need Jesus. If we were perfect, we wouldn't need him. Right. So and listening to them while they're broken is a good thing, I think, for any parent.
That acceptance.
Yeah.
So
for me,
critical.
I need people just to listen to me when I'm broken.
You too. I'm going to call you.
I love listening.
Let's figure it out. Seriously. To mind when I bring that word up?
Resilience to me is bouncing back after something has happened that's been traumatic or difficult, and making life productive in spite of. That's resilience.
Productive in spite of it, definitely.
What
And
I did. This is what it feels like to be a widow. This is what it feels like on a day when you think you'll make it, and this is what it feels like on a day when you think you won't. And this is what it feels like when you want to go back, and you know you can't. And so I did that for 2 years. And at the end of the 2 years, it had gotten to be difficult.
resilience. What do you think of?
I think of just bouncing back from a bad situation and being able to come back from something and still have a strong life and be able to find joy and not living your life based on the bad things that happen to you, but moving forward and knowing that there's still good things in store for the future.
So hope might be a
Yes,
word.
hope is a great word.
Like when I say the word resilience, what are some other words that pop in your mind?
Faith, having faith that that God has plans for your life. Hope is a really good. That's
Not a bad
really
character name either.
Yes, that's the perfect. That's really the perfect word for that.
The beginning and the end, isn't it?
Yes.
It is. Thank you.
I guess resilience means, to me, persevering through hardship and I guess, to me, clinging to what gives me hope, which is Christ, and using Him as my strength to continue through difficult times.
Yeah. And can you think of a time when you have personally had to make a choice to continue on and to press forward?
A lot of times, mistakes in my life or just difficult callings that God has placed on my life. One is actually writing, and I did 7 years of schooling in a completely different major, and then God called me to write, and so that was a difficult choice because everyone was expecting me to pursue this other profession that I'd just gotten a master's degree in.
Resilient to you. What pops into your mind?
Well, being a military wife, resilience is a way of life because, our husbands leave and they come back and life changes constantly, And so resilience for me is just the ability to bounce back from whatever interruptions, whatever setbacks, whatever life throws your way, and being able to just jump back from that with a smile and grace. And
I like that. Jumping with grace. We all need to learn to jump with grace. We need to learn to jump with. When I mention the word resilience, what does that mean to you?
Resilience. I think of a rubber band. So the pulling apart, but coming back, into shape. So resilience.
So being pliable.
Yes, definitely pliable. Being able to stretch and then come back and do it multiple times, snap back. Yes, and just be careful. You don't want to, snap yourself. Being resilient.
Ooh, snap back without snapping yourself. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Wow. And so, how in your life have you snapped back without snapping yourself?
Snap back without
And I know
snapping.
I'm giggling, but
Yeah,
I mean that on a more authentic level. As
yes, well, I'm an Army wife, and for almost 12 years, and we just recently medically retired.
It brings to mind to me the ability for a person to continue to move forward, to continue to connect, to continue to have hope, even in the face of very difficult situations.
And has your family faced anything that has taught you about resilience, or your children about resilience?
Absolutely. We have a couple of kids that we've adopted from foster care, and we've really struggled with one of our kids' ability to connect with being exposed prenatally to alcohol and being in the foster care system. Attachment disorder is a very real situation that a lot of kids are facing.
And what do you think of the word resilience? When I say that, what comes to mind?
Sticking with something even when you get discouraged and when it seems like everything's working in your life.
I have definitely felt that before. Can you think of a time in your life, in your real life, when you've had to do that, just stick with it?
Well, I was married to an alcoholic for 21 years after I was a single parent with 3 children. And I had a teaching credential where I was going to be my fallback occupation, but at the time of the divorce, There were no teaching jobs to be had. They were bumping teachers and closing schools. So I did a lot of jobs to make sure that we still had a roof over our heads and got bills paid, but it was a very, very difficult time.
Well, you were providing, right? You were the main provider. You did what it took.
Whatever it took.
Whatever it took. What did you learn from that situation?
That God is always there for you. Funds would come in that I never expected. Doors would open.
You know, I hope you've enjoyed this preview of meeting some of my favorite authors that have inspired my dreams and reignited my imagination, especially after real life difficult times like the wildfire that took everything we owned and really changed the course of our lives a number of years ago. Now I want to invite you to be part of something bigger where we help other people who have been devastated by great loss, whether it's a wildfire or a flood or something else that has taken everything. And we'd like to invite you to be part of the Resilient Author Project, which if you come to elizabethvantassel.com and look in my cart, there are some wonderful products that can benefit anyone you know who's had just a really difficult year. Maybe they've been through a flood or a fire or some other catastrophe and they need to start over. It would make a great gift. And remember, part of the proceeds go to wonderful charities that were such a tremendous help to us after our own loss in the devastating wildfires. So I hope you'll join us. Come and see me there.